You are now listening to the Dual Position Podcast.
The boys are back to talk all things SuperCoach all season long.
Please welcome your hosts, Whisperer and Brew.
Check 1 2, check 1 2. Hello all, hello. Welcome to the Dual Position Podcast. I'm your host, the SC Whisperer, coach of the Ramsey Resurgence, joined as always by Brewski. Mate, I'm doing well. You not so much.
No, not at all. I'm in a raging bad mood. I had an absolute stinker this round. Copped everything under the sun, including an AE of 2 from James Schiller. So, yeah.
It could be worse. I did see a screenshot going around of a bloke who VC'd Munster. Great, good start. Decided he wanted to loop, and his only way to loop was to put the C on Schiller. Missed the news. And has a lovely score of 4. So whoever that is, shout out to you. Myself, I'm sporting a nice score of 1,226. Brewski, a little bit further behind at 946. But we're moving into the bye rounds. We're planning for that, so could make up some ground. But Brad Fittler and Billy Slater have decided to just take a huge shit on all of our planning. Seems like Daniel Tupou has been selected. Seems like Ryan Madison is selected. Seems like Angus Crichton is not, however. So surely Angus Crichton is like a must-have next week, yeah?
100% must-have. You just said something about that made me feel slightly better, and I was actually looping initially until about 5 minutes before the game, and I was captaining Schiller. So that's some good news, I suppose.
Better than nothing.
I could have switched it to Papali'i, but he did only get 66, which is better than what my captain scored anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was tossing up to whether to loop or not. Like, I had the C on Cleary, had the VC on Munster. Turns out not looping was actually better for me because it means I wouldn't have brought in Cameron McInnes, as you and I discussed on our Tuesday pod. I think the scenario that we played out was if I wasn't looping, I would bring in McInnes. And yeah, we ended up bringing him in, and he went superb and made the loop not worth it. We actually ended up netting some points there, which was nice. So, look, the first game, let's just get straight into it because it was the Storm 28, Sea Eagles 8, headlined by Munster with 112. This was just a Munster show. I think you and I'm not going to say chalk this up because I think a lot of people had the Melbourne bounce back happening, but Munster with 112, it's always nice to start the round off with a big score.
Yeah, he was phenomenal right from the get-go too. You could tell they were on pretty much from the first set, and I'm quite surprised within this that Smith got the try assist for his try because Smith did, sweet FA really when it comes to that first try. That was all Munster.
Yeah, I just think it's Jerome Hughes, isn't it? It's clear why Melbourne prioritised signing him over Munster. Now, I'm not saying Munster's a bad player, not by any stretch of the imagination, but Hughes just makes this side. He frees up so much, and it really helps with Munster and Grant and just all of them rolling forward. So Harry Grant was a laid out, which made me have to play a certain Canberra hooker, who we will touch on later on. But Harry Grant being out really threw a lot of people off. There was some laid outs. Some people had their squad depth really tested this week. So Cheese did come in and he got a respectable score. Got a respectable score of 54. So not too bad for owners, but could be better considering the form that he was in last year. Kenny Bromwich with a 91, Nick Meaney with a 70, Tui Kamakamika with a 60, rounds out the best scores for them. As for Manly, a guy that's getting harder and harder not to own now that Turbo's out, Hamel Olakau'atu had about 400,000 penalties given away and 1 million errors and still churned out 70 doing sweet FA.
Yeah, all in base power, which is beautiful. And it's good to see first week without Turbo that there's a reliable score in there because obviously Manly didn't offer up much in the way of attack in this game. So, yeah, that's the first time owning Olakau'atu. I've been like, good.
My hero of this game, though, however, is Ruben Garrick. 67 points in a side that scored 8, and he missed both conversions. So, stud. I think he had 35 base power from fullback, which is very, very handy for a side, especially only scoring 8 points, and he still pumped up nearly 70 points a game.
Yeah, I was actually getting Garrick until Grant went down, so I'm a little bit disappointed. But 67 at the time, I was like, I can cop that. It's not a ton, but plan is to get him in this coming week now.
I think it's literally exactly what I said to you on the podcast, mate. Like, I'm an owner. 67 is great. Like, I'm happy with it. But as a non-owner, you're not too upset. Like, he's literally just like in the middle ground.
Yeah, I think he had a BE of around 100, so he'll lose a few dollars and cents, not much, but at least he's shown the form to have the confidence to bring him in next week.
And the only other big score from this game is George Tafua in his return game to the NRL with a 63-point affair. If you own George Tafua, then well done. Game 2, the Panthers 22, the Cowboys 0. Many were saying this was a reality check, but surely realistic Cowboys fans didn't expect... Like, they would have wanted to compete, and I think they did. But Penrith are just a class above the rest, and that was highlighted. Dylan Edwards with a 100-point affair. Good for him. Isaiah Yeo with an 83 with a try. Api Coruscant 81. Brian To'o 71. Talon May with a 68. James Fisher-Harris with a 61. Rounded out sort of the best scores. Tago versus May. Has your thought process changed as to who you want to keep, or do you want to keep both? Do you want to keep none? Is the Tago duel better to have? Where are you sitting on this?
Well, May kind of got saved by late junk in this one, and
he did.
I suppose there was a little bit of extra stuff that happened in, say, the final 20 to 30 minutes, but I think the bloke was on 7 at halftime. It seems to go more through Tago than it does through May. So if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Tago now. That said, for the short term, I'll probably just hold both and see what happens.
58 points from Nathan Cleary. Bloke got held up over the line about 3 times. Could have had about 150. Cowboys were very good defensively.
Look, I said it on Twitter either after the game or the next day. I actually respect the Cowboys maybe even more after that game. The Panthers they're a different beast now. Like, this is ridiculous. Over the last 3 years, their record is second to none, and they are just an elite side. And for them to only really lose 6-0 in the second half, Penrith would normally stomp all over that team and put 40, 50 points on. So I respect the Cowboys for the effort that they put up, and they should hold their heads high. Especially
with the amount of ball the Penrith Panthers had. They just had a plethora of ball and couldn't crack. Stephen Crichton looks like he's going to Origin camp. Looks like he will be starting game 1. So kind of shafts everyone's Origin planning. I guess the watch is for... It's been confirmed that Daniel Tupou will come into the Origin camp and play. It hasn't been confirmed as to who he comes in for. You would expect that it's Addo-Carr that drops out, but Brian To'o could be on bye round watch. Something to note. I haven't seen teams. If anyone wants to put it in the chat right now when teams are dropped, let me know. But I do expect Addo-Carr to come out for Daniel Tupou, so Brian To'o, unfortunately, not an option. And bye round specialist, Viliami Kikau only scored a 36-pointer. Really hoping that stays that way next week as non-owner. He was also put on report, but seems to have escaped charges as well. For the Cowboys, Queensland debutant Jeremiah Nanai, 75-point affair. Since when did Jeremy Nanai develop a base, bro? Because he scored 75 in all base power.
Of course he did. We were talking about how he has only had a couple of scores over whatever it was last week.
We now have Sean Lane, fan of the show, Dane Gagai, fan of the show, and also Jeremiah Nanai out there listening, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was actually looking at Gagai during the week. I thought, well...
You can't. You've got to stick firm.
On my soul.
You've got to stick firm on your morals, and you can't buy him. Also, Queensland debutant Ruben Cotter. What a man!
What a man!
72
points. I
points.
was taking the piss on Twitter for anyone that saw that I said that he's worth $10 million. But seriously, the way he's playing, he just reminds me of Lolo from a few years ago, where he's just this bloke with an engine and a half, and he runs at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and he always looks like he's going to break through, and he just keeps tackling. He's an absolute legend. Yeah, 72 points all in just workload, which was fantastic. Valentine Holmes with a 59 rounds out the sort of top scores from them. You've got to scroll down all the way to the bottom. Popular buy round purchase. Scott Drinkwater, 12-point affair. Yikes. Nice. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, it's good as a non-owner, but yeah, I don't think this game represented how. I'm not going to say how close it was, because I never felt Penrith were in doubt, but it wasn't a 22-point margin game. Basically,
they were a bit frazzled when they couldn't score the tries the way they've been scoring the tries for the last 6 weeks. And I think that threw them off their game a little bit. So they need to go back to the drawing board and make sure that, if plan A doesn't work, that they have a plan B. And I just think Drinkwater obviously was affected by that with them scoring a big fat donut.
Yeah, definitely. The Broncos 35, the Titans 24. The Titans were up, 24-6 at halftime? Something ridiculous.
24-0, I think it was.
Yeah, and you just triumphed in the second half. Just not good. Herbie Farnworth, 105. Ezra Mam, 81. Coke Capewell with a 70, Pat Carrigan 66, Tamare Martin with a 66, Selwyn Cobbo with a 65, Payne Haas with a 62 rounds out the top scores from them. This Selwyn Cobbo kid, he's pretty good at footy.
Yeah, bloody oath he is. Be interesting to see if he's named in the Origin side. I was happy when I woke up and I saw this score. Obviously, I get up super early, so I didn't watch this game. When I woke up and saw that he scored 65 and I'd seen that Broncos scored 35 points, I was just like wiping my brow, like, thank God.
Yeah, he's going on a run. He's going on a very good run. I can remember Alex Johnson. I think Alex Johnson scored 15 tries in 4 weeks midway through last year. Cobbo hasn't scored as many, but he's definitely going on a run. I think he's scored something like 11 tries in 5 weeks, so definitely been killing it. As for Herbie Farnworth, he has just he's just that guy. He's just putting up scores. He just put him up every week.
Yeah, I wish I had Herbie over Staggs at the moment.
I mean, Tony Staggs, we didn't mention him. 46 points. I wouldn't say is a huge disaster.
Yeah, but didn't he goal kick?
He did.
Well, it's a disaster then.
That makes he's probably at 20 points in goal kicks there, which is it's just Cobbo's getting all the points. Cobbo is getting all the points.
Yeah, but so is Corey Oates and bloody
Herbie
Farnworth though too. They always going down that channel.
As for the Titans, Toby Sexton with an 85, Tino Fa'asul Malawi with a 72, AJ Brimson with a 70, Fafita with a 70, rounds out the top scores. What's going wrong with the Titans? Because they can clearly put up points. Like I don't think the attack is the issue. Are they missing experienced head? Like, are they missing someone to just chill them out when it's sort of getting under the boil? Because that short kickoff, man, I think that just anticipated what happened. Titans up 2 tries and decided to go for a short kickoff, and just really, like, the momentum was already swinging, but it really unraveled there.
They're a young side and they're missing the surer heads, I think. You look at most of those names on the list there, most of them are quite young.
Under 25,
in the leadership. I think Tino's the captain and he made that call, and he's only a young fella himself. I just think they need some more experience in that spine. They play 40 minutes and they look like a top 8 side, and then they play another 40 minutes and they look like they should get the spoon. It's just a really inconsistent season for the Titans.
If only they had some kind of, veteran halfback that played 6-7 years in Q Cup who looked really good when he played first grade. If only they had sort of someone like that maybe, wasn't the halfback for the Raiders.
Yeah, they shouldn't have got rid of Fogarty at all.
Game 4 of the week. Talk about sides that capitulate. The Warriors 16, the Knights 24. This was a dreadful game to watch.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I watched the first half and I turned off the second half. It was that bad. But the thing is, Warriors seem to play 3:00 Saturday every single Saturday, and every week it's the same story. Against South they did it in reverse because they came back and almost won, but I'm pretty sure over the last 2 weeks they've got out to a lead and they've squandered it both weeks. And yeah, it's really not pretty to watch the Warriors at the moment. Like, not pretty at all. I don't think I own any of them right now.
After being potentially the worst preseason buy, Vaiola's going to be like 400K in a month.
Is he?
Yeah.
That'll be right. I sold him this week.
He's got a lovely, 55 this week off the back of a 62 last week. So we're all going to play him next week because it's a bye round, and he'll score a nice 5. So very keen for that. But yeah, so. He's actually starting to generate a little bit of cash, which is good. Ewan Aiken top scored for the Warriors with a 66. Adam Pompey with a 65, and Dallin Watene-Zelezniak next with a 56. Hey, as a non-Tohu owner, seeing him only score 50 points, really, really nice. And he was being used a lot as a decoy. So You and I were very much on the bandwagon of let's wait a week, like let's wait for the first price drop. I'm probably not even going to jump on now.
Nah, I'm completely not even looking at the option anymore. It's just, to be honest, I don't really want any of the Warriors. They're not, I don't like watching them. They're very inconsistent. You know, I was quite keen on Jazz, but now that Jazz has moved to prop, I think, you know, he'll have some good weeks, but I think that 40 to 50 is probably going to be the range that he falls in most weeks.
What do you mean? You're not keen on Chanel Harris-Tavita and he's 6 points in 80 minutes?
Negative.
Yeah,
No, sorry, I am not.
For the Knights, Anari Tuala top score with a 95, Kalen Ponga with a 72, Tyson Frizzell with a 71, David Clemmer with a 65-point affair. Not much else to talk about, really, apart from the injury to Daniel Saifidi. Hey, a Saifidi has been selected into the Origin camp. It's Jacob. Yep, that's interesting.
Yeah, no, it's not interesting. That's a terrible choice, but I keep checking my phone to see if that Origin side's getting announced, but it doesn't appear to be announced.
Apparently, it's being announced tonight on the Matty John show as at time of recording, so hopefully it can come through. Not much else to talk about here, really. The Knights are just as mediocre as the Warriors are. And speaking of another mediocre side, the Tigers 18-44, the Rabbitohs. Cody Walker did sweet FA for about 70 minutes of this game. He was on about 20 points. Looked really deadly, but just not scoring any points. And finishes the game on a cool 103 points. But this one was headlined by the history-breaking Alex Johnston, now becoming the highest try scorer for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Congratulations to him. And he's only, 60 tries away from Ken Irvine's record, who many thought to be untouchable. And he is still only 27, Brew. He's so young. And remember, South wanted to let him go, and there was like a
petition.
There was like a petition from South fans to keep him at the club.
Well, he signed till 25, and I think they said on the coverage 14 tries a year within that contract, and he'll break Irvine's record. So good on him. You know, they never should have been looking to get rid of him. He's a talented winger. He never lets them down. So you are right about Cody Walker. I was salivating watching this game. I was watching South tear him up in the second half, going, close, Cody.
He's going to come back
again. And then he got some arsey one under the sticks where it kind of just fell on his lap.
Oh, it was the kick. The kick. It was like a double ricochet. And I was like, oh, yeah, 17 points. And then it just turned on from there.
Yeah, and I was the same. I was like, all right, I'll give you that 17. You can finish on 50. And then he gets the try that he scored was great.
It was a good try. As a non-owner, you got to be like, yeah, it's a good try.
And I saw him get 80, and I was like, oh, fuck's sake.
And then you got the update.
My round.
And then you got the updates for the Campbell Graham try, which Campbell Graham had a bit of a flick on. It was like a touch of pass, so it could have gone either way. But as an owner, after about 68 minutes, I was like, you know what, Cody at 50, I'm happy with that, because like it could have been a lot worse. And then he just sort of went ballistic in the last 10 minutes. Alex Johnston, as we said, scored a hat trick, 114 points this week. Campbell Graham with a 119. I've been very much in the Campbell Graham should be playing Origin camp over Katoni Staggs. I'd love to know your thoughts.
I agree. I've said all along that I personally think Matt Burton should be in the side. Crichton seems to be nailed down to having definitely one of those centres.
The right centre with Toto, I would imagine, is his. And then I just like to see Campbell Graham play left centre, like he's been playing it for club footy, and he's been.
I'm behind it now. You know, I watched him last week have a really good game, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe what people are saying it is true. Like I watched him closer, and then I watched him really closely in this game, and he absolutely destroyed him. Very creative. They look so much better on the left-hand side. And I think they've moved him because they're missing Gagai on that side. And they've gone, you know what? Campbell's a much better ball player. Yeah. Let's try and open up that left side again. And I think that's the reason for the move. I wish I had known that before I got Tane Milne, because it's killed the right side. And Tane's killed me 3 weeks in a row now. So wonderful. But the side's out apparently.
Yeah, so you look for it while I keep stalling for time. Look, they experimented with the Paulo, with the Jackson Paulo and Tane Milne thing, and it just didn't really work. And then Campbell Graham on the left-hand side has looked really good. Saliva Havili, shout out to Aman from Aman Talk Supercoach. His cheapie from about 3 weeks ago. Really good pickup. He's had a fantastic work rate off the bench. Damien Cook with a 72, Cameron Murray with a 64 in his game back from injury. As for the Tigers, Ken Mamarlaw with a 79 and Dane Laurie with a 79 as well, with the only 2 impressive scores from this Tiger side who put up 18 points a game. Brewski, have we found the Origin side?
No, I still haven't.
All right.
Oh, yep, I do. Actually, I do.
I can tell. Let me guess. Is James Tedesco the fullback, mate? Have I got that one right?
He is.
Oh.
Tedesco, Toto, Crichton, Staggs, Tupu, Luai, Cleary, Paulo, Cook, Haas, Sims, Murray, Yowie Power, Hines on debut, Frizzell, Madison, RCG.
That has killed my Supercoach side. I've got nothing for 13 and nothing for 17 anymore.
Saifiti's only in the
Yeah. He's only in the camp. He's not in the team. No, he's only in the camp.
Oh, we'll say Sawali. So
yeah, you know,
there's
emerging
nothing wrong
squad.
with that.
Interesting squad. Tarek Sims being picked over the likes of Liam Martin. Over
experience, I think.
Yeah, which as a Queenslander, I don't really care. Interesting that Staggs has been picked as well. So it looks like they have gone with Staggs to play left centre, despite playing right centre for club footy, which. Interesting. I just preferred Campbell Graham because of the fact that he would be playing on the left, and you'd sync up Toto and what's his name, Crichton on the right. But interesting side. Queensland will be released tomorrow as per usual. 36 to 16. The Roosters defeated the Sharks. Tedesco, 144 points. Nice. If you owned him. Fantastic. What a game. He was in everything. He set Super up for a few tries, who also capitalised with a 106-point affair. I thought I was a genius 13 weeks ago when I picked him for round 1, thinking he'd be a great hold up until the bye period, but as Brew just announced, he is now in Origin. And look, Suwali, something to quickly mention as well, failed a HIA, might not even play this week if he doesn't pass protocols.
Well,
which would be huge.
That is just a big old kick in the dick, that one. I'm losing players for that bye left, right, and centre. I'm almost going to give up on next week.
I had 6. If you told me like 2 weeks ago, I had like 16 players. Now I might have 10, maybe.
Yeah, I think you asked me a couple of weeks ago, and I said I could have 15 or 16. And now, by choice, because my numbers were looking so good, I picked up a few players that would play the second bye instead, and I thought were better fits in the short term. And I'll probably be lucky to have 10 next week now. But yeah, this game, look, for periods of it, it was one of the Roosters' best performances of the year, but they still had that drop-off period, and they really got to stop doing that. So they let them back in the game with 3 relatively quick tries in the second half. Teddy, man, like I think the week that a lot of people sold Tedesco, if you look at his numbers since then, without playing the best football of his career by any means, they're pretty bloody impressive scores. Tupu, he's the winger out of the 2 that you do want. Obviously, they love that left side, and there. Crichton going back to the left has just reinvigorated that edge somewhat. So I'd expect more scores from Toops. Butcher's the gift that keeps giving. Obviously, you take out the 30 points for the try. It's still at 52, which is good, but an 80 plus after what he did last week's pretty kick ass.
The squad that you named is the potential squad. So anyone that was listening, that were listening back tomorrow, probably. I don't think the squad has been released just yet, but that was from the Telegraph that you read off, which I don't think is too far off considering the leaked mail that we have. As for the Roosters, yeah, I mean, Nat Butcher, how good. I'm gonna put that one down to you, because I was not looking at him at all, and then you told me to buy him, and I bought him last week, and then since then he's gone 69, 82, absolute stud at like 350k. I know how brutal.
Injuries keep every single fucking week. Injuries keep happening during the week, and then I have to change my trade plans, and it happened again this week.
So Tilly Tippenor with a 19-pointer, back off the bench again this week, then slotted in at centre. Gross. I mean, I think you and we told everyone to sell last week, I think, so happy with that. But as for the Sharks, they made a game out of it at the end, but I don't think they were ever in it. Top scored by Cameron McInnes. The definition of a plotter, the definition of a safe 60, decides he goes and gets a try and 2 line breaks the week I buy him. So I am very happy with the man missing a front tooth.
Yeah, that guy dead set should not look in a mirror. But in terms of his football, he is wonderful. I've been trying to get him for 3 weeks, and I keep saying round 14, round 14, round 14. And it looks like he's going to cost me a little bit extra now, but that is my season this year. So
Ronaldo Militalo, 71. Sione Katoa with 68. Sifa Talakai with a 65. Blake Bradley with a 60. Going to go all the way down to the midway sort of the pack to see Nico Hines get a 51. Sharks are looking very inconsistent. Are we panicking on Nico?
He's a hold for the season, but this is what I was trying to say last week. I think in terms of him being your captain, it's going to be nervous because he reminds me a little bit like Ponga was a couple of seasons ago, where you knew he had that 160 in him, but he also had a 30 or a 40 in him.
Similar to Jerome Hughes this year, I feel.
Yeah, so that's why I'd always be a bit nervy. Like, that's why I prefer your Cleary types. Like, typically this week, he had to go and probably have his worst game of the season. Cleary, mind you, as you stated, he was held up and he was close a couple of times, and I think he got ripped off on one of the TAs. So, yeah.
Yep, as simple as that. This was a game that I did not want to watch. The Bulldogs 24, the Dragons 34. Top scored in the match by Zach Lomax with a 96, 70 for Andrew McCulloch, and 65 for Blake Laurie. Now enters NRL folklore, being an NRL try scorer. Well done to Blake Laurie for getting his first career try. Well done to you. For the Bulldogs, Matt Duffy with an 87, Jake Avarillo with a 79, Luke Thompson with a 77, Matt Burton with a 70. Jacob Carraz is dead to me. He decided to change sides. The base just died. I played him this week, got a 24. Not ideal. TPJ being out means I had to play Max King, who got a 56, which is not bad. But TPJ, I think you want to see the back of him, don't you?
I'm done with TPJ. Getting 2 points for my AE, that just really killed me. It cost me... Well, it definitely cost me 2 leagues, and I know that means I had low-scoring opponents, but they are both cash leagues, and I was playing easy opponents this week, and I've now dropped them both.
Jeez, what cashes are you in that you're winning with 940? I scored 1230 and lost one of my matchups, so I want to invite to your cash comps. Not a whole lot here to talk about, really. I mean, from a standpoint, both sides are not good. Both sides are not worth spending much time on. The last game of the round, however, the Raiders 20, Eels 28. This was a really, really good game. I really enjoyed watching this. I did not enjoy Ricky Stewart. Fuck Ricky Stewart. I'm looking down the camera. I hate you. Stop ruining Tom Starling, because it's getting really frustrating. 25 points in about 25 minutes. I don't understand. Maybe I'm biased because I'm an owner and I like in my fantasy stocks, but he is like your best player. Stop benching him. Fuck.
Yeah. How many minutes did Wolford end up playing?
Enough. Too many. Like 55. I don't.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He played long minutes.
Wow. Yeah. Ricky's. It's to the point where I don't even know if I can own Canberra players anymore. Like he fucks around with that side so much that I don't have that's why I didn't get Adam Elliott, because I was just like, you know what, he's probably going to be a good cheapie, but I just can't trust that after what he did with CHN that I'm not going to cop that again. And even Schiller, like, to start the year, I know he was dropped for a reason, but he was one of their best backs at the time, and they went from winning games to losing games, and then, he couldn't even see the inside of that squad at all, but then all these other people keep coming back in. I think Savage is highly overrated, to be honest with you. I don't know what all the hype is there with Savage. I just don't think he's, got that next level elite fullback.
Still very young.
Yeah, he is young, and there's a few of them that are young, but just not the type of fullback that I think Canberra needs, to be honest. They don't really play like that type of side to have the Jaden Campbell type.
Someone put in the chat, Wolford looked average as well, which I agree. Starling is just so much better. Anyway, I'm gonna stop ranting, because come round 14 after the bye, I've got 2 trades planned, and they're Adam Elliott and Tom Starling. Both my Raiders boys are gone. Josh Papali'i, 74, just absolutely killed it. Just offloading galore, base power immense. He was great. As was Joe Tarpany with a 66. Sebastian Chris with a 65. Round out the top scores for them. No one else really stood out for the Raiders side. For the Eels, however, this was Bailey Simonson and Dylan Brown's time to shine. Both those boys with 100-plus scores. Sean Lane, shout out to Sean Lane, know you're listening, friend of the show. 79-point game, 79-point game from him. 68 from Mitch Moses, 66 from Isaiah Papali'i, and 59 from Ryan Madison. So overall, not a huge scoring Sunday for my side. I mean, I had an average of like 80 points a game per player on Saturday, and then Sunday kind of killed it for me. IPAT with a 66 playing in the middle is fine. I expected worse from him playing 13, but can't complain. But yeah, that's going to kind of do the roundup. And yeah, is there anything else to talk about, my man? Like, it was a pretty weird round. It was sort of very up and down. It
was the most unenjoyable round of football I've watched in a while.
Is that because of your score, or is that just because you didn't enjoy the footy?
It was both. It was both. I didn't enjoy the football so much. You know, that last game wasn't a bad game, but I thought the Dogs Dragons game was low quality. I thought the Warriors game was terrible. I thought the Tigers South game was really low quality as well. Which is a bit frustrating. And then on top of that, obviously SuperCoach just kept pounding on me this week.
What games
I started really well, and after that I couldn't crack 50 with anyone.
The Storm game was good to watch because of Munster. The Panthers game, it was never really in doubt.
Panthers was a good contest, but
the Broncos Titans was good just for the memes and the content that I got out of it, which was always fun. The Warriors Knights was terrible to watch. The Rabbitohs Tigers was cool for the last 20 minutes. The Sharks Roosters, I'll be honest, it wasn't that great of a game. It was good for like a 10-minute spell in the second half when the Sharks had a comeback, but apart from that, it wasn't overly fun to watch. Bulldogs Raiders, I'd rather be involved in a real-life saw activity that you had to complete. And the Raiders Eels, it was kind of a grindy affair, but 48 points is nice, so that was probably my match of the round personally, my man.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. What you said is fine. I look forward to... I'll be honest, I really hate the Origin period. I know everyone loves Origin, but I just find it takes away from the football, and the standard of football over the next 6 weeks drops off, and I hate that. I really wish that the Origin was done after the season so it didn't impact the actual NRL season.
Fair enough. They tried it. I didn't particularly like it, but each their own. Mate, that's going to do it for the round. What'll be round 12? We're nearly halfway done for the season. Round 12 podcast. Hopefully I see some green arrows. I expect you to see some red ones, but hopefully that they aren't too bad, because Origin...
Bad red ones.
Origin is the time when the experienced players hopefully can get ahead, and I was looking great until half my squad got picked for Origin.
That's probably a good thing. It means you've been picking the right players.
Yeah, unfortunately. I've been your host, SC Whisperer, coach of the Ramsey Resurgence, who didn't get a mention today, but he looked very good at fullback as well, once again. I've been joined by Bro C, coach the Brew World Order. We'll be back on, what are we on Tuesday? Just to answer anyone's questions, if your player has been named for Origin, they will not be playing this week, and they might play round 14. It's up in the air. So to save anyone asking Brew and I those questions, if your guys have been picked for Origin, they will not be playing this weekend, and there's no guarantee they play round 14. But yeah, apart from that, man, is there anything else that we can leave the wonderful listeners on?
No, we'll be back Tuesday. Let's talk some trades. Should be a fun week.
I'm very curious. I think before we wrap up, what are your initial thoughts? Obviously this is Rage Trade Sundays. What are your very initial thoughts with your trades?
I think I'm going to sell Pappenhausen. I think I'm going to get Garrick and
finally
Angus Crichton in.
It's only been 3 weeks?
Yeah, well, I've always wanted it as the kind of my card up my sleeve this week. I think it's hurting me too much now because of the injuries. You know, I was okay carrying Paps as long as my other players were there, but now that I'm starting to lose them and they're dropping like flies, I think I need that cash flow, that cash injection, bit of hot beef. So there's no better hot beef than Angus.
That's it. And, I'm definitely looking at Angus, but I don't know how. Maybe I drop Thomas Darling if he's only going to be playing 20 minutes next week, or is Daniel Tupou a season-long keeper? Because otherwise I can easily do Tupou to Angus, and I just shift Talakai down. So I'll have a look at the squad. I'll have an assessment as to how we bring him in. But yeah, Angus is definitely hot property for myself included, my man. As I said before, I'm the SC Whisperer, coach of the Ramsey Resurgence. We ended up on a very nice 12-26 pre-updates. Coached. yeah, whatever. Joined by Brewer C22, coach of the Brew World Order. A little bit less with a 9:46 pre-updates, but Origin is back next week, and yeah, definitely will be some talking points. Hey, mate, just think of it, 9:46. Maybe you went a week early. Maybe 9:46 next week is the score to beat.
As long as I score it and come first in the round, because, yeah, Jesus.
All right. Thank you for listening, guys, and we'll see you here.